Good afternoon and welcome to the 7-city tour of India by Security Watch India. This is the city, the wonderful city of Bengaluru, which is in fact a part of the economic engine of prosperity of India, and the world knows Bengaluru more than it knows many other parts of India. We'd like to introduce you to one of the iconic figures of Indian strategic thought, Indian policy thought when it comes to security across a wide range of dimensions. For all our viewers from North America, from Europe, from other parts of the world, as also in India, I'd like to introduce you to a very special person. This is Mr. B. Raman, who is the Director, Institute for Topical Studies in Chennai. Welcome to the conference, Mr. Raman, sir.
Thank you.
Sir, we'd like to know, you have studied the progress, or rather the changing the evolution of terrorism, since possibly 70s, late 60s, 70s, 80s and 90s. What is the one or two, three things that really strike you that is very different now, from what it was before? Even though terrorism was always a threat, even in Punjab, in Kashmir, in the 80s and 90s. What is the special facet of terrorism now, and how do we counter it?
One of the special worrisome things about the evolution of terrorism is the terrorists and insurgents, as we see in the case of the Mois insurgents. They are becoming more and more indifferent to the impact of their actions on public opinion. See, there was a time when terrorists and the insurgents also, they used to feel they need the support of the public if they have to succeed. So they never went to certain extremes in their modus operandi, etc., because they are worried if they did so, the public will react adversely. Today they are not worried about the impact of their actions on the public. But that is one thing which has to be there. And the number two is, the terrorists, they are more and more shown greater ability to adapt themselves to modern science and technology. See, many of the things, latest gadgetry, latest technologies, etc., the terrorists have used them very effectively. For example, the fact that mobile telephone can be used for remotely activating an explosive device was found by terrorists. And then security agencies realized that mobile telephone is a double-edged weapon. Terrorists can use it. So now they are trying to find out how to prevent the terrorists from using mobile phone as an activator, remote control activator. So really they are the first to find that the fertilizers which the farmers use can be used as an explosive material. They were first to notice that some of the cosmetic items used by women can be used as explosive material, common objects, etc. So this kind, so on the one hand, that ideology is very, very medieval. They want to take the world back to Middle Ages, etc. But the ability to think, normally people think that a terrorist is an irrational person. But the way they carried out 9/11, the way they carried out 26/11 in Mumbai, it shows that they can think in a frighteningly lucid manner when it comes to an act of destruction. This is something which I find is very, very worrisome. And we are not been able to, they are repeatedly able to take us by surprise. Intelligence agencies always say, for every successful act of terrorism, there are a number of successful acts of the intelligence agencies where they have succeeded in preventing an act of terrorism. The public doesn't know about it. Yes, there is a fact. But at the same time, every time a terrorist successfully organizes an act of terrorism, it shows a failure with intelligence, it shows a failure with the physical security agencies. So we can't afford to have such failures on a continuous basis.
Right. So, we're all well aware of the tragedy that happened last night to the Gyaneshwari Express. Now, the fact of the matter is, if a train is traveling through hundreds of kilometers of remote area, how is it possible for it to be monitored where a track can be blown off and how can people's lives be saved?
So that's what as I keep mentioning, India is very complex. We have a complex problem. Because for us, the problem, the threat is urban as well as rural. In the case of countries like the United States, UK, Spain and all, the problem for modern terrorism, modern insurgency has been largely confined to urban areas. So you can identify which are the urban areas which are more vulnerable. You can focus here. India is a huge country. We have problems in the urban areas. We have got the jihadi, what we call jihadi terrorism is an urban phenomenon. The Moist insurgency is a rural phenomenon. So it's a very big problem. I can understand the dilemma of our security agencies, of our government in working out a protection plan. But we have to do it. We have to do it. For example, having a patrol car before trains, or reducing the number of night trains, something like that. We have to think in terms, because it's a serious problem, we are facing a serious situation, so we have to think of drastic remedies.
So, the jihadists and terrorist groups of every kind, even the Maoists, they've all evolved their own doctrines. They have their own little books, etc., which they use to indoctrinate people. What kind of steps are we taking? Do we have a comprehensive anti-terror policy or a strategy by the government or state governments or the government of India, where we incorporate various disparate elements, the police forces, citizens, etc., into one framework?
We are trying to different kinds of terrorist situations, etc. But we still do not have, because of our federal setup, because of the fact that the police is largely the responsibility of the states, and also because of the fact that there are different parties which are in power in the center and the states. We have not been able to work out a comprehensive strategy for dealing with the terrorists. We have not been able to work out, raise a capable force which anybody can use, any state government can use, or central government can use, etc., etc. So we have to think in terms of that direction. And also we are this capacity building, for example, the MHA that we have today, which is responsible for counter-terrorism, counter-insurgency, it was created by the British. In those days, these problems were not there. In those days, mainly the Pindis, the dacoits were there, dacoit problem was there, law and order was there, crime was there, there was no terrorism, there was no insurgency, there was no low-intensity conflict. It was created in those days, before 1947. We are still trying to manage the terrorism of today with the help of institutions which are created before 1947, when there was no terrorism, there was no insurgency, there was no low-intensity conflict of the type which we are facing today.
So, what would be the way forward?
No, we have to. See, we already lost a lot of time. We have been facing this problem for many years. We had insurgency in the northeast, we had terrorism in Kashmir, we had terrorism in the rest of India, we have been having the Maoist insurgency, etc. Unfortunately, we deal with the problem as the problem occurs. Our approach is tactical. Every time there is a tactical situation, we deal with it, we find out what went wrong, we try to see we don't commit the same mistake again. But we don't have a strategic approach. How this thing is going to evolve, how the modus operandi is going to evolve, etc. That kind of strategic approach is not there. We have to have a strategic approach. We will have the strategic approach only if we have an institution, a ministry or department, or you call it, which thinks all the time of a strategic as well as a tactical approach to the problem.
Finally, sir, what would be your message to citizens and corporates? How can they help in ensuring law and order situation?
No, they have to cooperate. See, it's not only they are helping others, they have to help themselves. And for that, they have to cooperate. They have to cooperate with each other. The private sector industries have to cooperate with the government. The government has to cooperate with the private sector. Both of them have to cooperate with the civil society. They have to seek the cooperation of the civil society. So there has to be a creation of an awareness that terrorism is the problem of everybody. Everybody in the society, whether the government or the private sector or the civil society or different sections of the population. We have not been able to create that kind of attitude. It's very important for us to create that attitude.